down, shall we? Alright, well that's... No, we don't want that, and we don't want that. Okay, we'll just keep this for now. I haven't named this show yet, but it's going to be the start of many to come, because it's pretty good to do all this nonsense stuff. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to do Fnatic versus Virtus Pro. It's an SLTV match, and we're going to do the first 15 rounds, because doing this nonsense stuff, like if I did the full match, and by the way, the full match is 30 rounds, spoilers, it goes to 15-15, but if we did the full thing, it's going to take like a long time, so like 3 hours probably, something like that. So just going to split it in half. I managed to get through about 9-ish rounds of this quickly, as like pre-show preparation, not as much as I'd like, but I had to do some other stuff as well. But that's cool, it's the first show, so let's just get cracking, shall we? I'll just turn this music down. We can go into the game. Okay, so here we are. Alrighty then, so we're going to start off with the pistol round, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this run, and we are going to see how things go with the initial setup. Because whenever we look at Counter-Strike, that we have this dynamic between the CTs and Ts. The Ts have to go plant a bomb, and the CTs have to stop them. So the CTs have to figure out what is the most effective way to do that, and the most effective way to do that is to understand what the Ts are doing, and then have the perfect positioning for it. So we can see Pasha right now is in mid, looking down here. So let's just pause this real quick. Okay, so let's pause this. Pasha saw maybe one guy, and early on in the round, he got some information. Like, this is what we were talking about. They're trying to like figure out what is happening. They need to figure out how to optimally defend, what the Ts are doing, and that is the focus at the start of pretty much any round of Counter-Strike. You know, how did the CTs manage information? And Neo has this angle down here. He can't actually see JW there, but what this does mean at the start of the round, Virtus Pro were able to see this entire area, and so they know that there's no rush coming from Banana or from mid. What they haven't seen anything from is, of course, the apartment side of the map. Now, of course, we as spectators can see exactly where the terrorists are, and Virtus Pro, they don't know that for sure, so they can't just rotate. So the measure that they put in here is we have Taz here, because Neo has the biggest warning system if, you know, it's actually a banana rush. So if Neo understands, okay, it's going to be a banana rush, then he can maybe just throw some bullets down there, maybe a nade, and he can fall back onto site, and they can play for a retake if Neo wants to go really defensive and run all the way back. Or Taz can come in and help him. Like, there's actually like a lot of time to react if it's going to be banana. You get a lot of vision. But the terrorists can actually creep up quite safely to apartments very quickly, and it's too risky for the CTs to actually get a peek into the apartment side of the map. So what this means is that it's quite a smart decision for Taz to actually be in this area once Neo has basically eliminated the possibility of a very fast rush, and now it's all about what do the CTs know. So we have a very simple setup from Virtus Pro, and they're not really falling for anything. So let's just I think I covered more or less everything right at the beginning there. We got, yep. And they haven't really been able to react to anything specifically just yet. So let's play the round on and see how things progress here. So just play this onwards. And of course, JW and Flush are actually just waiting here. They haven't revealed their presence. So mostly what this is to do is actually to provide a distraction, and we'll see, for this, which is the real threat. This is the real play. The real play is actually going to be going onto the A bomb side. So they want, Snacks is kind of has the smoke down here. So he has no solid information just yet. So Taz is creeping back because they have a suspicion, and it can often be about calling and reads and gut feelings about how the other team is playing. But generally, this is a very safe setup having Taz here. And Taz is really important here because he can very quickly help A if it's needed. But this is the whole point of these two guys. These two guys are going to be pushing Banana to try and make sure that Taz runs back to B, because they can't possibly risk Neo being alone against the B rush. And they haven't seen enough. So you can see the movement going back there from Taz, and this is very effective now. So if we just quickly pause this, we can see that the play from Fnatic was essentially effective. The job here was to create basically a 3-on-1 or 3-on-2 situation for the main play, which is of course around the apartments, so that they can actually make their way for a successful plant on A and the successful A take. And so that's what it's about. It's about playing with the positioning of Virtus Pro, because Virtus Pro have to react to the information that they have. They can't react to the information necessarily they do not have, unless the information that they do not have, let's say, well, actually no, like, I mean, I was going to try to phrase that and say sometimes a lack of information is actually good information. So if you don't see something here, then that is good information. But the bottom line is that Virtus Pro have to react to what they know. And here we go. We're going to see this push coming in here now. Fnatic, so far their little strategy of 2 men on banana actually worked out. So Flash is actually going to fall back as the rest of his team pushes in here. We're going to see them moving in. So you can see if I can actually jump onto Flash's perspective here. His entire team go down. And what we can do now is we can say, all right, Fnatic played it well when it comes to the beginning of the round, but when it came to the point where they actually had to execute the fights, it didn't go so well. So let's just quickly rewatch that from Fnatic's perspective, and we can see maybe how they could have optimized that rush a little bit. In fact, let's just speed this up a little bit so we can get there a bit faster. So get all this information, then we get this little push coming in, banana from Fnatic and from Fnatic's JW and Flusher, and Flusher comes all the way back. Okay, so now we can find the correct POV to go to. So we run Crims here. So let's just try to play on. Actually, let's just use Auto Director because it will find the frags for us, and we can see how this. Actually, no. Actually, let's do it this way. Oh yeah, you can't actually move in free look if the game is paused, which is really annoying. So let's just go to a player then. Let's go back to Crims. Where are you, Crims? You are number 6. So here we are on Crims, and he's going to be the first man out here. So they are basically just doing a bit of a dry rush here. And the decision that they went for in this round was they went for just armors. There was no nades on anyone, if we're not counting the decoys. So you can maybe think, okay, can we like re-optimize this strategy? What can they accomplish if they actually buy nades here? Well, one thing they could possibly accomplish is if they were planning to go through this push for A, like we know that they are actually doing, they can eliminate a place to look, which is up to this direction, by just placing a smoke here to completely cut off Pasha's vision. And that way they have a 3-on-2 with the guys on pit. They won't know that they're both in pit, but at least they have a 3-on-2 immediately. What they do is a dry rush with no nades. You could argue that one smoke, which is like 300, and 2 flashbangs could be really useful here. Like a smoke going straight out to this angle and a flash going, or because the pro players know how to place flashes, and the point of this is not to tell you like pro flash positions, but it's to maybe highlight that. It's really annoying I can't use free look in pause mode, by the way. But the point is to say that if they know a flash for pit and they know a flash for sight, that would be a good opportunity to use those, and that could have increased the efficiency of their play here, or the likelihood that they would have gotten the bomb down. So we're just going to see the execution go, and Fnatic really hurting there with the lack of nades, at least on one guy. So that's maybe a way that they could have optimized this. So after losing the pistol round, now the economy game really comes into play. So, okay, this is really important. Let's just see what they do first. Okay, so we're gonna see just pistols. Okay, so there's a couple things going on here. So typically, when you're the terrorist side and you lose the pistol round, as you saw there, if you just did a full buy, you're left with what is it, like $50 or something, and you have you get 800, or rather, sorry, what was it, 1400 for winning a round. So by spending the money on the pistols, they're left with this amount. Usually, if you actually just say, okay, we're going to have to eco twice because we didn't get the bomb down. The bomb down is $800, and then if you lose this round, you get the consecutive round loss bonus. So you get the 800 plus the 1900 that you would get from losing a second round or 2 rounds in a row. So you actually have enough to buy basically on the round. On the 4th round, so you get a chance to win the round with pistol armor, which can be really, really strong. What Fnatic decided to do here is they decided to put one flash on Flusher, and just everyone buys the CZs and pistols. So this is contrary to what is considered one of the more optimal ways to play in the meta game right now, which is pistol armor on this round. Because pistol armor is just so damn good against SMGs and everything, especially considering how like a P250 from moderate ranges is like a one-shot kill, and the CZ you can spread into a body and it's a kill. We've all seen the crazy eco rounds from the terrorist side. So quite interesting that they didn't go for that, but we are going to be one of the reasons, one of the reasons why we do this, like we watch the demos, is we are able to deconstruct what teams do. So we get to see what happens, and we can analyze the merits of what they do and try to understand how they, like what they were trying to achieve. So we can see here that they're just basically going for a mad rush. And what we need to look at here is Flusher. He actually flashes the house there as they rush in. So that's the flash gone. And now they're basically going to run to their deaths. And the reason why this was very easy for Virtus Pro also to predict is because they had Neo, who was pushing Banana for a little bit of info. And so Virtus Pro knew how to play it carefully. So we're going to see the next round now. And it's going to be a very similar thing again. So because they had some money left over, because they didn't buy armor that round, they decide that I think this is the way that they looked at it. They decided that having one flash on Flusher in both rounds and just pistols and no armor is going to give them more value over the course of 2 rounds. So they like that play better for 2 rounds than they do like the play for pistol armor for 1 round. And they feel like they would get more value out of that. Because if you do the pistol armor play on round 2, then on round 3 you have to just have Glocks so that you can buy on the next round properly. So that's like an interesting distinction we're seeing from Fnatic here. And we're going to see them basically use Flusher to pop flash mid here, so that his teammates can actually get out into mid really quickly and hopefully get a pretty easy takedown on any of the guys in mid. So there goes the pop flash. We can see that it's going to be annihilation here from Virtus Pro. And there's one thing to quickly talk about is Virtus Pro setups. Let's assuming that I'll just get the map overview now. Assuming that Virtus Pro took, let's say, took a suboptimal setup here to defend. You know, you would have noticed that they were very far back to defend against this. They're very, very far back. Pretty much as far back as you can possibly be to defend against this. What are pistols good at? Very close range, scrappy fights. So the pop flash coming in here from Flusher is a really good idea if there's players in this kind of more conventional setup, which is used on the buy rounds. So which is here. The pop flash then is fantastic, but the pop flash didn't end up doing very much because Virtus Pro were optimizing their fights by having the long ranges and minimizing the strength of the pistols, which is the closer ranges. So that's another way that Virtus Pro actually countered what Fnatic were doing there. So let's once again go into the next round. Very simple stuff there when we're looking at the very early rounds. So this is where it gets interesting. We have the buy round coming in for Fnatic, and it's a complete full buy, as you'd expect. And of course, Virtus Pro have to throw away the crappy weapons, and they have to make sure that they're able to compete with AK-47s where possible, but still have grenades. So let's see how this actually goes here. Let's see the different ways that Fnatic are deciding to play this. So from reviewing this a little bit before, we had Flusher as he's always the man, and he does this very, very well. Flusher is very responsible here for actually pushing any CTs back so that Fnatic can keep control of the information game by having the most map control. If the CTs are allowed to push all the way down to here, and if you want to watch a team that's good at that, and we'll probably check it out someday and do an episode on it, Dignitas are absolutely phenomenal. And they must have spent so much time practicing exactly how to do that with the best spawns possible and so on, playing it dynamically to always get down mid, have the deep smoke down logs, and be able to completely deny this area from the terrorists, which basically leaves them just with this to work with. And if there's just that for them to work with, it suddenly becomes very awkward. And the benefit of that as well is that it means that there's such the rotation time from the player that's here for the CTs is so quick to A that actually it just ends up being really, really strong. And not mentioning just that, but we also have this factor that you only need one guy there, so you can rotate the other guy all the way back around, and you can have this really, basically it's very strong to do that, and Dignitas will really show you that if you ever seen them on Inferno. So Flusher, his job is to try to deny that situation from happening, and his job is to move up here, and that's what we're going to see. And let's just see that in action now. We see Flusher actually slowly pushing up, going for a bit of pre-firing there, and nading his way up, trying to push the CTs back. If he can push them back behind the choke point, then of course that's very effective, because then they have all of a sudden this very, very risky situation when it comes to getting information. They have to peek around a choke point, which is not a great idea if you don't know what's behind that choke point. And that's the whole idea right now for Fnatic. They need to obscure as much as possible with controlling areas, as they can the information that that Virtus Pro actually have to work on. And at the same time, we're seeing Fnatic taking apartments. But really, as Fnatic slowly try to push Virtus Pro's setup back, what they really want to achieve here is to remove this guy, make him go all the way back here, or maybe even to here. They want to make Bialy go back to the site. They want to make Snack stay around this area, and all of a sudden you have this line for the CTs, and mid can be in control for the for Fnatic. This creates a very optimal situation when it comes to controlling the information once again, and forcing Virtus Pro to have an awkward situation whereby they don't know what's going to happen until it happens, and then they have to rotate, and they have to rotate really, really fast. So it's a very, very nice way for them to actually do this. So let's just let the round play out a little bit here and see what actually happens. So Flush is holding down this area, so this means that, you know, Virtus Pro being denied the information, Taz kind of has to be helping out here. Flush is still providing presence there, whilst Fnatic wait for these defensive smokes to go away from Virtus Pro, and then basically they get to use. This is by the way, this is a very standard and basic round on Inferno. What I described about information is what this map is about. And part of the reason for that is because I just pause to make this point. On a lot of maps, Mirage does too. Maps like that, even Nuke to an extent, where there can be very open areas. You have this situation where it's very easy to find angels and picks. And on Inferno, it's very difficult to do that because the CTs can always deny you angels because of all these like horrible corners and choke points that you have to move through. It's very, very difficult to open yourself up to an angel without the CTs being able to get a very easy revenge frag or just generally easy frags, unless the terrorist side invests a lot into grenades. So that means that we have rounds like this. This is the standard round really for the terrorist side. So Fnatic, it's then up to them to decide how to use this round. They've taken out no players, Virtus Pro play defensively. So they decide, their caller has decided to commit them to an A play. So they've got loads of ways to do this, and let's see exactly how they decide to take this one, and we can kind of analyze the merits of what they choose to do. So they have Flusher waiting here in this smoke. We saw them go all the way through here. Don't worry, we'll watch the action again as it happens. So Flusher's job was to actually flank around there, and the rest of the team was flashing and smoking into the bomb site. Olafmeister is making a lot of frags, and don't worry, we'll watch this again so we can see how the execution goes. Because that's really where the execution is. It's when the teams actually decide to make the defense and make the real attack instead of just the posturing, which is very much a more strategical element that most teams can actually successfully do, except the banana bit that I was talking about with Flusher. That's very difficult to do. So let's speed this up a little bit so we can. Okay, let's go to auto director and just see how the action unfolds a little bit. And if you guys have any questions at all whatsoever about any points that I'm making in the chat, go for it. And I can use this time to also talk quickly about some principles. I talked about revenge frags, and in Counter-Strike, making trades or revenge frags is a situation that all good teams have to facilitate. You always have to be thinking, from any play that you make, is it possible to create a revenge frag situation for this? If it's not, then you need to find a way to do that, because it's incredibly important to gain position on an attack, and to actually, once you're pushing for that through that choke point or whatever it is, to be able to actually have a teammate that can revenge frag you and keep things going even, because there's basically no excuse not to, and it just keeps the risk low, basically, and limits what your opponents can really get out of a situation. The only exception to that, although I'll just pause on that thought as we have the action going here, and this is the wonder of auto director, by the way. It decides that Neo is the one to watch there, but you can see them moving in here, and obviously their flashes were ineffective, and the smokes didn't help them very much at all. So really this seemed like to be a case where Snack's got like 2 or 3 frags sitting by those bomb boxes, and auto director wasn't kind to us, but it's not a big deal. So it seemed like basically Fnatic just didn't make the entry frags in the end, but they had the situation they wanted. They had the 5-on-3 situation, or 5-on-2 situation that they actually wanted. They just couldn't execute. So that's a very simple situation. So again, we see the Flusher with 1 flash, and we'll see how he uses it. And we have the rest of his teammates on the pistols. And I'll probably focus most of this episode on how the terrorists decide to make their decisions, because I want each episode to have a bit of a focus. And of course we can see here, just good play coming in from Virtus Pro generally, just sticking together and making sure they pick up the frags. And Fnatic actually managed to pick up a weapon. So Fnatic actually managed to get a kill here. So this is basically, the pistol rounds are basically just a bit scrappy. You have players going all over the place, seeing if they can make picks happen. Looks like Fnatic were actually able to accomplish that. And this is another reason why you got to be very careful in this game about the eco rounds, because the pistols are so dangerous. So we always talk about how, what do you want to accomplish on a round like that. They didn't invest in armor. They were saving money. So the outcome that they want is going to be about keeping control of Virtus Pro's economy as best they can. That's really the best outcome. If you get a bomb plant, that's a bonus. If you get anything else, if you actually get a round win, that's a massive bonus. But let's look if we go here and resume a little bit. And Snacks, can you please buy? There we go. So Snacks bought an AWP. So if we look at that, they got what, 3 kills. So they forced the CTs to have to like drop their teammates and buy new weapons and everything, and new armor and all that. So despite being 5-0, look, Fnatic's economy is not incredibly strong. If Fnatic have been creating situations whereby they have a good way to get back into the game, even though they've been losing all the rounds. As long as the economy for Virtus Pro is weak or weakened enough, fragile, then Fnatic are going to be able to actually keep themselves in the game. If Virtus Pro ever get to a situation where their momentum on the economy is so strong that they can always buy, then Fnatic are basically fairly screwed. And it also has other implications. And I'll quickly make another point as well, because a lot of times people say, okay, we hate it when the commentators talk about economy. It's we already know about economy. If they can't. If they don't have enough money to buy the next round, then they have to eco, and then that means this team's going to pick up 2 frags. We already know that basic stuff. But the entire game is based around economy, and it goes a deeper level than that. There is an example I like to use with Guardian on Dust 2, which I think is the perfect example. And if you guys want me to talk about that, I will. But because it's like another game, another situation, I'll leave it out for now. But basically, it influences the kinds of risks that a team can take as well. So every single round is actually impacted by the economy. Like, for example, looking at JW, or let's look at it from the CT's perspective. If the CTs have a very weak economy, it's very risky for them to run an AWPer down here for this pick. It's very risky for them to, let's say smoke mid, run an AWPer down here for a weird angle on second mid, which we've seen before. It's very risky to play an AWPer from logs, or do an aggressive push, 2-man all the way down logs or down mid. Like, these plays are extremely viable. They just carry a certain level of risk. So the risk can be justified by surprise, but it also can be justified by the economic situation of your opponents and your economic situation, and also the round score as well. So risks have to also reflect the economy for both teams. So it's so yeah, there's like a quick snippet of economy, and I'm hoping in the future we'll get a deeper understanding. Casters don't get a lot of time to talk about it in depth in the actual games, and there's probably not many casters who think about it too in depth either. As it's so hard to do that in a game anyway. But moving back into the round, we're seeing an AWP on JW, and let's just see how the beginning setup goes here. So we have the beginning place for information, and there's a few points I want to make here. And this is, by the way, why I didn't want to do a full game, because it's going to take ages. And I need to find a better way to have the screen moving whilst I'm talking. Anyway, so Flush's job, as we talked about, is to try to remove these 2 CT players, to obscure information, keep it in an unknown territory, so that Neo and Taz have to go back to the site, like back here, so that they can't move through this choke point, they can't peek this entire area, and so their team knows less about what's going on. That's Flush's job. He's very good at it, and we'll actually look and see how he does that in a second, as that's always the first thing that happens in these rounds. The other thing that happens quite quickly at the beginning is that we see Fnatic taking control of apartments, which is obviously really important to do that. So the biggest decision here, and the most curious one, and I also spoke briefly with Threat about this, is that JW has an AWP, and I was scratching my head when I saw this, because Inferno is a very hard map to invest in an AWP with the terrorist side, because again, Inferno, you can't easily get aim jewels. Let's try to understand, where can JW go. Maybe JW can go here and try to make picks up here. Maybe he can try to go and make picks up here. But depending on how the CTs play, and by the way, Flush is already dealing with Banana kind of by himself. He doesn't need that much help right now. JW is kind of redundant on Banana in this round. JW is also redundant on mid. He can't get a mid pick because he's never getting peeked by Virtus Pro. That's not happening. Virtus Pro, again, and the reason is because of map understanding. Virtus Pro know that unless they are desperate for information, a mid peek when there can be a player looking at from this angle, from this angle, from this angle, is extremely risky, and the risk doesn't give much of a reward. Even if he gets a trade, a kill, then they got 2 players here and 2 players here. He leaves a huge hole open that maybe Taz has to fall back. Like, it creates a very awkward situation. It's not worth the risk at all. So JW is never going to find a pick here against Virtus Pro. And so that means that the AWP is kind of useless in this area as well. It gives him less mobility. And generally, you know, there's not much he can do with it. So, you know, usually you prefer an AK because it's very hard. Like, you need a teammate to flash. He's going to need teammates to flash him into angles. And he's going to have to take awkward angles, kind of mid-close range angles as well in some cases. So let's just check out JW and see how the AWP actually plays out for Fnatic. Because it's definitely a very weird call, and it feels like they're kind of forcing it, you know, when it's really not the best fit for the terrorist side. And also, you know, this is something, I'm not just, I mean, this is like my thoughts as well, but I had a conversation about with Threat about this, and he largely agreed. That it's kind of awkward, and you can basically do the same job that JW is doing with the AK as well. You can always argue stylistic choices here, as we're seeing JW help Flusher really lock down this choke point. But again, is he not redundant here? I mean, he can get this angle on the peak here, but Virtus Pro do smoke it off. They saw some presence there. They want to be safe. They waited for as long as possible to make the resmoke, and that smoke's going to kill another 10-15 seconds. One thing we can see here is that because JW is pushing in with the AWP with his teammates, kind of at the back into Banana, this is actually a really nice place to use an AWP because we can see that he can really just destroy anyone who's in the corner. He can really destroy anyone who's on like the Freiburg position on new boxes, on you know, the back boxes on the left. He can really destroy someone in that position. And using the AWP defensively from here feels very comfortable and it feels very good. But generally speaking, there's not many places on the map that really feel great for an AWPer. Especially in an AWPer that has to play aggressively as you do on the T side. So we do actually see the Banana push working out for them, and I kind of skipped over it a little bit just to kind of argue the merits or the lack of merits for AWPing in JW's hands here. So what we need to understand now is how is JW going to play in the next round? Because we decide, I mean, I think that it's fair to say that you can make Banana work really well and the B-bomb side work very well with the AWP from JW, but they can't do that every round. So we need to understand, can Fnatic make the AWP viable with a mid push, or, you know, a push for apartments, and a play towards A, or are they going to do another Banana play here to get more value out of the AWP? So Virtus Pro, largely, we're not talking about them a huge amount because I wanted to focus on Fnatic here, and I also want you to know as well that largely, if we're going to do a team on this map, it's probably going to be Dignitas because they are monsters on the CT side here. They know how to play aggressively very well. What Virtus Pro do is they have very, very good setups, which really test teams, because Virtus Pro are amazing team play-wise. They may be one of the best teams team play-wise, and they have amazing counter flashes, amazing revenge frag setups and crossfires, and they play incredibly safely most of the time. So they're always a very good test as they punish you, as you have to try to like open up angles with grenades and team play yourself. And some teams really struggle against that. So far we see JW kind of, again, a bit redundant, you know, peeking up mid, up Banana, but Flusher's already there, or Flusher already did the Flusher job. Now we see JW supporting the mid here. Again though, you know, with an AK he could have kind of done the same job as this. But either way, he's kind of supporting from this angle. And if anyone kind of looks for information here, which is not going to be super common, but it does happen there. It's going to be hard to make that pick. Unfortunately for him, he misses the pick there, so the execution not super on point in that spot, but the smoke grenade is very good. It's going to really deter a flank, and it's going to allow him to try and pick. But can't he do this with an AK as well? It's a very nice shot, but still. They make it work as a supporting player. Anyway, it's one of those decisions that for him to have the AWP, that maybe it works because JW is just so damn good with the AWP compared to the AK that it's always going to be preferable, but I feel like it's a little bit awkward on Inferno. So Virtus Pro are able to, they basically failed the retake there. So we're going to go into the next round, and we're going to look more closely at the overall strategy here from Fnatic. Now that we've kind of established how they make use of the AWP on A and on B. The only thing we haven't seen AWP-wise is we haven't seen the apartments yet, and this is actually something that's going to happen. We're going to see how JW plays the AWP with the, onto the apartments also. So again, let's see, on the beginning of the round, Virtus Pro can do some information gathering if they want to, but we're seeing Virtus decide to take a pretty slow start. Again, we see Flusher trying to just get an idea of what's happening there on Banana, and JW is still trying to pick mid, but he's never going to get a pick there. And we see Bialy and the rest of Bialy and Snack, sorry, actually making a close quarters battle with the CZs there in the apartments. So now this is problematic for Fnatic. So let's just rewind, because what we want to look at here is whether or not Fnatic gave enough respect to the fact that Virtus Pro were on Eco. Fnatic should have a good idea that Nico's coming up, and let's have a look and see how they handle this. Let's go 4 times speed. Oh, actually 1,000 times speed, yeah. Alright, 2 times speed, there we go. Okay, let's look at this again. So, what was it? It was Bialy and Snacks, the awesomest duo. So we get them both coming in here now. So this is a pretty good setup. They should be able to get revenge frags on each other. And they got a little bit lucky there, but let's just look at how that happened. Both players from Fnatic were alone. It was more or less impossible for a revenge frag to happen there. And now because of that, we have Snacks and Bialy picking up AK-47s. Now the question is whether or not Fnatic understood if an eco was coming up. If they understood an eco was coming up, having people play solo like that on these positions, unsupported, without like pop flashing properly a teammate in, then that's a play that shouldn't happen, basically, if they know that it's an eco. It's very possible that they misread the money situation here. And either way, they're left with 3 players. And the beauty of this is that as the terrorist side, even if you lose some players, you're always going to be able to make a... Well, it's 3 versus 5, so it'll be hard, but usually you can attack a position where you have a numbers advantage, which is very needed when you're the aggressor attacking into a defensive spot. So obviously it's going to go a little bit wrong here, as Virtus Pro basically eliminate that Fnatic are on that side of the map, they spotted the bomb or whatever, and it's going to be easy cleanup for them. Or is it? JW does get a few sneaky frags there. So we're on round 9 now. Virtus Pro is 6 rounds to the 2 of Fnatic. And by the way, just to make a little bit of a pause here, my understanding of this game is not perfect at all, but part of the reason why I wanted to do this is because if you try to watch what happens and deconstruct it, it really improves your insight to the game. You can basically see what the best teams do. You can try to see what the logic was behind it, and if there were some certain principles there that those teams were applying, and you can try to use that as some logic to then apply to other situations. And overall, it creates a much better way for you to look at the game and understand things that are happening in the game and why teams do what they do. And again, because I was going to be doing this anyway, because I think if you're a commentator, you should probably do this stuff, at least once in a while. I wanted to try to share it with other people, and it's going to be a journey as these shows progress, as my understanding gets better, and hopefully I can help teach you guys some things along the way. So, okay, I was going to look at the money, wasn't I? Didn't do that. All right, here we go. So, let's get this overview out the way. All right, so we have a situation now. I mean, JW got what was it, like 2 sneaky frags with the AWP last round, and that's a really, really big deal, because we can look at and see how that actually affected the economy here. Because if he didn't get those 2 kills, Bialy and Taz would have a lot more money than they do right now. They'd have a few thousand more than they do right now, which would mean that if they lose this round, they'd still be able to buy. But if Virtus actually lose this round, the buy is going to be shaky for them. Really shaky, because they're gonna have to drop and everything, and they might not be able to get full nades and everything like that. So it's shaky just because JW got a couple of frags. So sometimes when you're watching these matches and you see these situations where a couple of frags happens, you should really think about how does that actually change the game, because there is many impacts. I mean, most frags can actually be meaningful in this game. So moving back into this. It's pretty much yeah, basically a full buy from both teams, and we're seeing the AWP here from JW again, and he's basically doing, where is he? There he is, more or less doing the same thing, and Flusher again leading the charge on Banana. Fnatic, Virtus Pro, what do they know? Well, right now they don't know anything because the information's been completely denied from them. Pronax is actually first man kind of like peeking with the bomb here, which is kind of an error, and he just realized that and threw the bomb away. You never want to show the bomb. Never ever show the bomb. If you can avoid it, never show the bomb, because that's a bit of information that you just don't have to give up. If the CTs know where the bomb is, it helps them narrow down exactly what is most likely to happen, and it informs them maybe how many players could be on one side of the map, which allows them to maybe do, let's say if they think, okay, the bomb's over this side of the map on Banana, then maybe they have less players on A, so maybe it's less risky to actually push for info because there's likely to be less players to punish me, and then all of a sudden they know exactly what's happening. So it's that all from seeing the bomb somewhere, you know. So Fnatic decide, whilst they had control Banana, and let's just quickly pause it as this is happening. Okay, look at this. Look at how well they did this. They kept Neo and Taz. Again, this is very standard on Inferno. They kept Neo and Taz here by pushing all the way up here. And now, look at this. It is a 5-on-3 here. But more importantly, actually, it's closer to, let's say, a 4-on-2, 5-on-2 situation with the players on the site there. So that is basically a perfect way that you know, they got the result they wanted. And it's an impossible situation sometimes for the CTs because you can't just make these risky rotations. So now they get control of the site more or less, and JW with a good little kill on the flank there. So the bomb's going to go down, and we have a post plant set up. Now the question is, oh shit, we're flashed. We're flashed, guys. Oh no. The question is, it's a 2 versus 4 post plant. Plenty of time for these guys to set up. Do Neo and Taz go for this, or do they save, or do they go for the exit frags / save? Okay, so looking at the economy, personally, and again, I just want to emphasize, I don't have the best understanding ever, and if you guys have anything you want to say about any of the topics here, go for it. But I feel like saving weapons in this spot is pretty good, considering how bad the money is and how unlikely it is. Especially as actually Neo has a Molotov as well, and that's like $600. So and Taz has a kit. So. And there's also an AK on Neo as well. So I would really like a save here, just because that they're gonna have to. They're pretty much. Well, they can still actually. If they save here, that means that Taz has a good weapon next round. If he dies here, Taz doesn't have a good weapon next round at all. And yeah, so I think actually saving is justifiable for a stronger round next round. But let's see how it goes. Because if they lose this round, I'm not sure if did they lose the last round? I'm not sure. If they lost the last round, they'll get $1,400 for this. If they lost 2 rounds in a row, that's going to be $1,900. So that was just pretty significant. And I'm not sure if they won last round or not. I forget with all my talking. But looks like Neo is actually able to kill a bunch of players. He's not going to get the bomb down in time, but he did economic damage. So we can see that economic damage still leaves Fnatic in a fairly comfortable position on the buys. It's still a full buy for them, and their money is still decent enough going into the next rounds. We can see now the situation for the money now. Bialy and Taz don't have a weapon. So is there a certain way you can play this situation? Let's just pause quickly to see exactly what they're doing. Okay, so they decide to go for a basic setup here. They're not doing anything particularly sneaky like pushing Banana. We're seeing very, very vanilla stuff from both Virtus Pro and Fnatic so far in this game. Well, despite the AWP on JW, it's pretty darn vanilla. But they're kind of making that work for themselves, just because JW is always like the last guy into these fights, supporting with the AWP. But you see that he has to push with it, which I guess with an AWP as good as JW aggressively, it does kind of work. Either way. Let's see how this round plays out. Firstly, let's just take a check on where the players are with weapons here. We've got Snacks and Pasha. Snacks on site, maybe doing quad or apartments, and we have Pasha over here by Long and CT Arch. Bialy with his pistol on site as well. Neo and Taz on Banana with the pistol and the rifle. So this is just going to be like a normal round, but way harder, basically. They didn't go for anything particularly risky. They're just going to try to keep things quite tight here, and see what they can manage with the worst weapons. This is quite nice though. They have a kind of double setup on quad, and that could be a very small little difference, but it could be something that works out pretty well. So we've got Bialy and Snacks here on quad, and Fnatic know that the money's pretty bad, so you can see that actually like what they're doing right now on the other side of the map is they are peeking with 2 players. Again, we have that principle. You need the revenge frag. If possible, you need the revenge frag. They feel confident to peek because not only do they probably feel like they have an advantage on the money, and there's no smoke. There's no smoke here from the CTs, which was going to tell them that their money is definitely low if they didn't already know that. They want to see exactly what weapons they're holding, and so they're actually confident to push in this little angle a little bit and get more picks. Otherwise, if they're just holding this angle there and maybe just looking like on this angle from time to time, then Flusher can do that by himself. But what this tells me is that they actually kind of want to do a little push, or if they get a pick, have the possibility to push because they know their opponent's money and setup is a bit weaker. So that's what that tells me there. And but Fnatic generally sticking together, because also the other thing that could have happened is Virtus Pro could have rushed Banana with 2 players, or they could have stacked this, this area with some players. So basically Fnatic are trying to play it safe. They're trying to play as partners here because they know the money is low for Virtus Pro, which means that crazy things can happen. When teams get low on money, risky play becomes very viable. So Fnatic, we can see it taking it very methodically. Again, they did a variation of the very standard round where they gain control of middle, they gain control of Palmas, they gain control of Banana, and then they push it onto the site. And actually Taz was actually just hiding in there with the rifle, and he does finally go down. But it's overall very well handled by Fnatic, and you can see though that this game is a game of execution. So now JW is left with this AWP over at Banana, and he's going to get killed by the fire, which is pretty awesome, and they're actually going to get the retake. So that was pretty amazing, and that was all because Taz was able to get a pick in the back of site because they didn't clear site properly. So that was pretty nice by Virtus Pro to get that retake, and that is really annoying because they're getting the bomb down though. Fnatic are going to have an okay buy. Olaf doesn't have himself a Neki 47, but he's got a CZ 75, and it's just about as good. And usually Inferno can be a little bit boring to commentate because unless teams have a variety of set plays, like I said, Inferno is usually more interesting. Usually the more interesting Inferno games are when you watch teams like Dignitas that are very comfortable in forcing pushes down Banana, because usually, like I said, you can see Flusher here again. Let's see actually how Flusher deals with this. I don't know if Flusher's going to survive this situation here, but let's see, gain an insight into how Flusher takes Banana, because that's very important. Flusher usually is very good at this, but Virtus Pro definitely, yeah, I agree with you, Happy Cat, a lot. Virtus Pro have been showing very defensive setups, just consistently throughout their Inferno game, and we see it very commonly with them as well. I mean, if you watch many Virtus Pro games on Inferno, they tend to do these kinds of plays very consistently. They're very comfortable with giving up position on this map, which is quite surprising in some senses. You almost see Virtus Pro giving up positions all the way and just saying, okay, we're comfortable playing from all the way back here, and we are happy to give away these positions, to give away the mid positions, and just fall all the way back. And because they rely so heavily on their great team play and counter flashing, and we see Fnatic doing the same thing. They push up Banana, denied information, and then they push around. Fnatic though, this time are going to be a little bit, well, not unlucky, but Virtus Pro is starting to read this, and they do have a quicker than usual rotate from Banana on Taz, but the bomb's still going to go down, and we do have a 2-on-2 situation. So what I want to do next, after we see this go down, is actually look and see how Virtus Pro are able to find the trades, and see if we can see anything interesting in their defensive setup that made life hard for Fnatic, or was it just the shots? Was it just the shots that did it? Let's see, are you gonna get this, Taz? Taz! Oh, nice. Alright, so let's just pause this and go back, and let's look at and see how Virtus Pro reacted to this round. Let's just take a POV from Virtus Pro. Now we know what's gonna happen in the round. Let's take some POVs from the Virtus Pro A players. So, you know, Snacks, Pasha, and Bialy, 1, 2, and 3 conveniently, and see how this play looked like from their perspective. And this, and as was pointed out by Happy Cat, you know, it's teams are constantly gaining information about how one another likes to play. You have to search for patterns and trends. This is also something that helps to inform your decision making. Even though it's not solid information, it can be reliable information most of the time. And every single play is about every single play that you make. By the way, that we just saw that they quickly had a pop flash into mid, and they killed Snacks with a quick peek after the pop flash. So now we just have Pasha and Bialy left here. So Bialy has to go back because he can't possibly cover the apartments from there effectively. He'd have to be looking behind himself and then doing 180s to go back to look at Boiler all of a sudden. And it's not efficient for Pasha also to be at CT Arch if he doesn't have a proper defense. And I'm just going to quickly talk about a CT dynamic here on this map. So when you're talking about these principles, which are ever important in this game, when it comes to always create situations for revenge frags if you can. You have the player here and the player here. Very, very simple crossfire setup. If the T players come out of Boiler, then you have the crossfire. If they come out of mid, then you have the crossfire. You got the crossfire. This guy who's looking, I have to press enter a lot of times. This guy is looking at this angle. If they come out of Boiler really fast, he has his friend to cover him, and vice versa. It's just that simple. But as soon as one of these players gets removed from this level, they have to compensate. You can't just leave one guy here. So once they've fallen back, you know, he can fall back to CT Arch, or you know, the guy on long can fall back to CT Arch, and this guy can fall back to site. If there's a guy who's in apartments all alone, then he should really go and fall back to pit. You want to keep, you know, a level so that your team, you can have proper team play with each other. You can effectively, you know, counter flash for each other, and you can effectively play as a team. So that this is like one very important principle in this map that is important to think about if you're playing. And by the way, this kind of stuff is very easy to do by just looking at the radar and seeing where your teammates are. And of course, this is something I would love. I don't really play matchmaking anymore because 64 tick, and I don't like playing random teammates. I prefer to play with you know, 5 stacks because it's more fun that way. But if you are alone on matchmaking, and everyone, let's say everyone understood these concepts, you could just look at the radar and everyone would know how to position themselves, and it would be like a really good game without any talking at all. And the less that you have to talk leaves more space for actual information that you can only get by talking to one another or over voice. So it really cleans up the voice as well. So let's play this round again, and we can look at how this actually goes down. Oops, I just paused it by accident there. Oh no, please don't miss anything. Alright, that's annoying. So we just got Bialy left, he's in pit. This is a really good position. If you're alone, it's on this site and you're committed to the site, it's basically the best position. We saw that there were trade frags. There were 1-for-1s there until we had a 2-on-2 situation. So this obviously makes the life of the retake much easier. And again, we saw them able to do that because they maintain good positions together where they were able to actually help each other. And if, you know, terrorists were attacking them, they can get the revenge frags. So we at least get the 1-for-1s, if not the, you know, the 2 frags and then the 1-for-1s. So overall, just good team play from Virtus Pro in that round to actually, you know, once Snacks died immediately, they're able to play with each other as 2 on the site, which is as important to know how to do, and is as important to practice as understanding how to do setups with 3 guys on the site. You gotta think of all the potential opportunities or scenarios that can arise, and think what you do in them, and kind of get a bit of rehearsal going in. So now it's 7-4, and there's only 3 rounds left until I close this show out. Let's have a look and see how this one goes. Again, we have a bit of a pistol going on here from Virtus Pro, but usually in Virtus Pro, we haven't seen them do anything crazy on the pistol rounds for them at all. And what I really like this from Fnatic, Olofmeister. Actually, let me just check. I just want to check quickly what Olofmeister was doing, because I didn't catch that. Let's just go back and see what Olofmeister was doing, because he actually managed to be very far behind the rush. So let's have a look and see what position he had. Here we go. Let's just actually get Olof's perspective quickly here, and then I'll talk about something else about about the merits of different attacks when you're the team playing with the rifles on an anti-eco. So here we go. We're moving very fast here. Okay, so Olaf is basically looking at just catching anyone very long range who's going to have a pistol, and this way he can also get some info on his team for his team. And they don't need all five rather, you know, pushing banana. So you know, you can always think of how to use a player like this. This concept of not needing everyone together on a rush also extends to, let's say you've won the first pistol round, you've won the second round. Something that's very smart, and I really like to see teams do, is you have one guy, buy armor, nades, whatever, but he just has a pistol. Okay, and the reason why he just has a pistol and the rest of your mates have the rifles or SMGs or anything like that is that the guy on the pistol, you sack him. He's supposed to be sacked for information. It's like a little Zergling, you know, if you watch StarCraft 2 and you're scouting the base with the Zergling, or it's like a sacking Overlords. That's probably a better one. The Overlords go in to look for the tech and see what's actually happening, and you know that the Overlord's going to die, but you're trying to see what you can see, and that's what you're doing. You're saving the money. You're saying, okay, we're going to sack this one player who's got a pistol, and you know, he's going to then inform, okay, is there a stack on A if you push A, or is there a stack on B? Then that information can tell you exactly what your pistoling opponents are going to be doing. I really like that, and this, I guess, is a similar concept in that you have not, you know, playing everyone together, which is strong as well when you're doing the anti-eco, because with the anti-eco you want to prevent them from getting your weapons. And one of the reasons why B is really strong is, again, I'm going to pause, and I hope that you guys don't hate me for pausing, but this is part of the point of analysis, is to look at stuff. If we look at this banana, and I wish I could zoom on the map a little bit, but if we look at banana here, banana is very awesome, because what is going to help pistoling opponents? You know, hiding in this corner, hiding in this corner. Maybe they can hide in this corner. Maybe they can hide in this corner or this corner. Maybe they can hide in bedroom. Maybe they can hide, you know, there, or maybe there, or maybe they can hide in there. Maybe they can be hiding in that spot, or maybe hiding in library or around there. Okay, there's so many different hiding spots, which are all can be close range fights, by the way, in this side of the map. Okay, that's really good fights for someone who's got a pistol. Close range spots that they can realistically be in. Here, 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 and then maybe here. And you will notice, though, this is all very close together. So if you're moving as 5 or even 4, you can quickly react to this and get the trade frags. And they won't get the weapons if you're pushing in fast. Other spots which are dangerous, here and here. The Heaton and Potty spot, very dangerous as well. But, of course, if you move into the site and clean it out correctly as a team, you know, get 2 or 3 players to make sure that they're looking to clean this area out, then you're fine. Maybe they can be hiding in construction, but if you've already got the bomb down in the plant and you've got someone running around to clear construction, you're fine. So this really highlights B as a very effective site to try to take on the anti-eco, and honestly, I really feel like it is generally the best choice. So there you go, and that's what we saw in this round from these guys. So here we go. We're going to see this round progress a little bit, and of course, unluckily for Virtus Pro, they weren't able to actually do anything here. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to, after this show's over, I'm going to sit in the chat, and I'd love for you to give me any feedback at all that you have for this, because I'm trying to think of a place where I could collect feedback for these, because I'm just going to keep doing these until they get better and better, until the show gets better and better. Yeah, let's just look at this. Now we have another buy round, and of course it's a very weak... Okay, this is a very interesting point to talk about. Okay, so we have a situation where Virtus Pro didn't have enough money for nades. Very big deal. Very big deal. No nades at all for Virtus Pro. They have a smoke on Neo and a smoke on Pasha, but we already know that Neo and Taz are the players who play B. So this means that only one smoke can go here. They cannot resmoke it. So there's a limited time that they can delay vision. That's, I think it's 17 seconds for smokes, isn't it? Is it like 14 or 17 seconds, something like that? And they can't resmoke that. So that's a very key bit of information. And we have as well, you know, Pasha, who's got a mag, which is, you know, the only place you can really use a mag is in apartments, and he's got a smoke. So he's very likely to smoke this, and by smoking this area, it allows Snacks to get Pasha, sorry, to get really close. If this is not smoked, he can get pretty destroyed before he gets into position. So the smoke here is going to allow him to get close and maybe take a risk. So that's where I'm expecting Pasha's smoke to go. Pasha can also try to smoke mid for his opponents, but it's going to be really difficult. Without being able to smoke mid, it's really hard. So what you would expect from Virtus Pro on a round like this, and also, by the way, Pasha has one flash. I'm not sure how he's going to use it just yet. But this is a round that can be very, very different, because you need grenades, especially on Inferno. You need grenades to actually play defensively correctly and properly and effectively. And if Fnatic have any idea that they don't have any nades, then they would play this just so aggressively. And they would be able to get and the pick game would go so incredibly well for them. They'd be able to flash out on the positions, pick, getting info would be so easy. So let's see how this actually goes. I'll stop yabbering on here. Here we go. So they're doing the same setup as the last anti-eco. Of course, Virtus bought. Maybe they didn't actually predict a buy here from Virtus, so maybe this is a bit of a surprise buy. Looking at the way that they're playing this up here, and let's say Virtus Pro have not shown anything yet. They have not shown anything. They're just playing all very close together here in close quarters, because that's all they can do with no nades. And we're missing the action because... Okay, so Fnatic do make their way into B. There was basically a surprise defense from Virtus Pro. And I want to rewind this just to quickly look at how that happens. Again, in the eyes of... It was Taz, I think. Yeah, it was Taz who got the first couple frags. I want to see... Oh, I thought it was crashing then. That would be really annoying if it crashed. Let's go to Taz. It's not letting me switch to the CTs. Why? Taz, there you are. Let's speed it up a little bit so we can get close to this rush. Okay, now let's look at this from Taz's perspective, because it's always interesting. So Taz falls back a little bit, and his teammates get really, really close in apartments. So his teammates are hearing nothing. So hearing something and hearing nothing are pretty much just as good in many senses. Because they hear nothing, they're going to... Okay, so I just want to point out here that, look, hearing nothing is a difference between Taz being, like, here in this setup and, like, here. Because if these guys are hearing something around here, what that means is that it's unlikely that a rush is going to come up here. And it's very, very rare that you'll just have guys walking in with no nades. That's kind of... I don't know if I've seen that, actually. I'm sure it's happened. But if these guys hear something, Taz is more likely to be around here than here. So that's the difference that makes. Whether or not Virtus Pro played it like that or what, I don't know. But obviously, also... Neo probably heard some stepping, even though they were silent up, and so they catch some frags here. And largely, there were no. You will notice there were no flashes over. Really, they kind of tried to walk in, and they're getting pretty murdered by that. So this is really well played by Virtus Pro. Overall, we're gonna see JW coming in from behind, but Olaf is like the last guy left now. Olaf's pretty damn good though, so he might be able to do it. Olaf is actually like insanely good. Olaf and Crims actually were just fantastic pickups for Fnatic's lineup. So, alright, moving into the next round, and we look at Fnatic's economy now. They are dead broke. So, you know, we're on round 14 of 30, so there's only 2 rounds left. So if they lose this round and don't get a bomb plant, there's definitely no buy for them, so it's kind of a significant round to win. We have a full buy now for Virtus Pro, so that changes things a little bit. And let's go to Flusher, and he's got a Galil. This is very difficult to do with a Galil. The power of the one-shot kill with the AK is very important for that move, for that pressure that Flusher does. The threat of the AK is much bigger than the threat of the Galil, generally speaking. But as we've seen, Virtus don't like to take risks here. So Neo, let's just quickly look and see what Neo sees. He sees down into the middle of Banana here, and I'm not sure how significant that is for Virtus, but Neo's about to get peeked on. Look at this. This is quite significant. Oh, and he doesn't make that happen, even though he had the first shots there. That kind of sucks for Neo. Anyway, now that they've got a pick here, Taz comes back, Pasha's also rotated back. They have to split up 2 for 2. And the reason that they have to split up 2 for 2 is because Fnatic haven't committed yet. And it's not obvious where they're going to commit either. So Taz is kind of playing close here behind the smoke as a bit of a surprise. And Pronax actually moves through CT Arch, which is kind of annoying. So that's a really nice little move from Pronax. I mean, okay, what we need to do is look at this again from Pronax's perspective, because this is kind of a risky journey to take. But of course, what it means is it really sets up an insanely strong push onto B, just because Pronax gets through there. So let's look at Pronax now and see how he, like, what information did he have to actually make that push. We already knew that they were defending 2 and 2 potentially. So Pronax maybe thought that because they're defending 2 and 2, it's very likely that they're not going to be playing like one here and like one here, because it's very hard for them to like help each other. It's much more common, as we saw in a previous round, to have like 2 players around here, leaving kind of connector somewhat open. So let's just jump on Pronax and just have a look and see how he interpreted this. Alright, Pronax. Just looking at the chat slightly. Hey, you guys are talking about Heart of the Swarm, what the hell? Okay, let's find Pronax and have a look and see what info he had to make that. Because other than them being a player down and Pronax having enough understanding of CS to understand how that impacts Virtus Pro's positions as CTs, let's see what else he saw to allow him to get through connector there. Because again, that's him getting through connector and also getting the kill is kind of game winning, or rather round winning for Fnatic. So this is the right round, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay, so he gets out into mid and the pick happens. The pick just happened. So he's going to go, oh, that is a very deadly pop flash there. And I will just explain what a pop flash is, because if any Quakers are watching, anyone doesn't know what a pop flash is. A pop flash is a flash that detonates in a way that you basically haven't got a chance to react to it. So there you saw him bouncing it off the wall, and what that means is then it explodes just as it turns the corner. It explodes, and maybe it explodes above the guy, so he doesn't even see like a nade on his screen where he's looking. So he doesn't have. Basically, it's a nade that people. It explodes in a moment where they cannot react to it. That's kind of the idea of a pop flash. So he pop flashed there, and didn't peek out immediately, but there goes another peek, and he's in now. He's been flashed himself in, and he's gonna have a one-on-one here. And one-on-ones are always going to be about the execution. So he plays that well. And now, of course, the B split is obvious of Virtus Pro, and it's going to be very, very painful. It's Taz in this corner. I think this is called the fetish corner. As it's referred to sometimes, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, big problem. A big problem for Fnatic then, for Virtus Pro then. It's just very well played by Pronax to flash himself into connector, and he probably had a good read, as I said, based on knowing that it was a 2A and a 2B setup, because they got the pick on B. There's like another way to play that as well, is that you get the guy on B. This is something like people like Freiberg and Neo are really good at doing. But you have them play from these back boxes here and try to frag as much as they can, and just say, if a rush happens, a rush happens. We play for the retake, and this guy, he gets frags. If this guy gets like 2 frags, then the retake is very possible, and you have 3 guys on A. That's the other way to play that situation. It's the way to play that situation where you're able to prevent someone from pushing through to CT spawn. So those are the 2 really, interesting ways to defend something like that. So we're moving on to the last round now, before the show is actually over. And what are we seeing? Virtus Pro, they're doing very similar things. They have like a variety of like setups here that don't involve aggression. And I'm gonna have to like cleanse my vision and see some Dignitas demos here, because Dignitas really play this. I really love how Dignitas are so proactive on Banana. I honestly think that's the optimal way to play as CTs. So again, we're slowly seeing Fnatic creeping into apartments because they're gaining some map control. This is really important. Flushes gain map control here. These are concepts we've already talked about. They have this part of the map, and it's also that, and also there are no angles for Virtus Pro to safely peek for information. The set play comes in where they start getting the flashes in through Boiler to try to make themselves get an entry onto A. Now it's about execution. And this is a very standard round. Very, very standard round. Now they've decided... Oh. Okay, so what they did here was they decided... When you have rounds like this, it depends, of course, how Virtus Pro play it with nades. Virtus Pro can really shut down this area with nades. We've seen that with these smokes here. Running through the smokes to attack onto A is quite foolish, to say the least. However, if this angle is clear, they can absolutely go here. So this could very well have been, you know, a gut call from them, but actually we can see that it was by design because we have the bomb over here. So this is a play on A, which actually looks like it's gonna be on A until, oh wait, it's actually a split. And it looks, you know, they don't have any info about this at all. It could be all the players for Fnatic around here, for all Virtus Pro know. And so this is one of the reasons why this map can be, you know, really favoring T sometimes, and because it can be kind of quite easy to deny information in many cases. But you know, it kind of changes with if you see how Dignitas play this. But generally speaking, this guy should die. 1-on-1 at best for Taz here, I should think, considering how this is going to go. Then Neo's in this position. What in God's earth does he do in this spot? So this is a beautiful B split setup, and I got to say it's a beautiful round from Fnatic. Let's see actually if they're able to pull off the execution of these frags. So not even a 1-for-1 from Taz. So now they're going for this B split, and they now, you know, they can have these ridiculously strong setups where, like, usually on a B take, right, you get the guys rotating in from A, and it's not this late, first of all, and second of all, players can't be anywhere here and anywhere in this area, because right now Fnatic players can be anywhere in this area, whereas usually it's like anywhere in like this area is more typical on the B takes. But of course they got the split, and so they control much more area, so it's much more risky for Bialy and Snacks to try to like come back and for the retake. But obviously it's the last round, so they got to try. So look at this, Bialy going to find the first guy, and you can see he didn't really expect anyone to even be there. And JW's got a great position to deal with that. So there is the first round. I'm going to do the second round on the next episode. I did make a very weird dick. Alright, so a lot of information there. Perhaps, well, let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna go to the camera, or I could just stay on the game. Let's go to the camera. Alright, I'll play a little bit of low music. Alright, what did you guys think? Give it to me. How did the show? How does this format go for you guys? Too much information? More focus required? What do you think?